Welcome to Kings of the North, day number 2. As Troy introduced us, my name is Fear Dragon, and I'm joined by Steadfast. And we are very, very excited. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Corsair Gaming for being one of the great sponsors for the event. I think that they have done a fantastic job in making a lot of this possible. But let's talk a little bit about that bracket, Steadfast.
Yeah, that's a very interesting looking bracket. As we mentioned yesterday, everything was just for seeding, best of one, and Semper was quite a surprise. He ended up going 4-3, as mentioned.
Yeah, definitely the dark horse of this tournament. You know, some of the people who are more up to date with the North American scene may be familiar with Semper, but a lot of the other people don't really seem to be as familiar with him. And him being able to get a better group score than both Scarlett and Puck, I think is a big upset.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he actually finished 4th. And is going to be playing Scarlett with that 5th seed. No one was expecting that. Talking about the seeding, though, we did have Masa convincingly take it with a 6-1 map score, losing only to Huck in a bit of a wonky game, but a very cool game nonetheless. A very Huck game.
Absolutely. And of course, speaking of Huck, we do have Huck versus Puck as one of the potential matchups. And just looking at this bracket, I think one of the most fun things about it is we have a PVT, we have a TVZ, we have a PVZ, and we have a PvP. We don't have any repeat matchups.
No, that's really nice. I really appreciate that. We will get a repeat matchup in the semifinals, but it's going to be very different than, let's say, Neeb and Huck is, I think, going to be very different than Huck versus Puck. Yeah.
It should be pretty interesting. And I think one of the most fun parts about today is the fact that all of the games are going to be broadcasted. Yesterday was the round robin. We're trying to churn through those games one at a time, literally one at a time. There's only one game because they're best of ones for seeding. But now every match is going to matter so much more, as a match loss is going to mean you get knocked down to the losers bracket. After that, you're out of the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be cutthroat today. Absolutely. And I wonder if Scarlett can come back and rally against Semper, for example, if Neeb's going to maybe shake off those couple games he lost yesterday. Everyone was kind of expecting that 7-0.
Yeah.
This is where yesterday was kind of a warm-up, lets you get comfortable. Today is where the rubber meets the road. Today is where you have to actually really bring it. If you don't, you're going home.
Yeah, I mean, this is where no regret doesn't make that hive. You have to be ready for all the cheesy all-ins he has prepared. As I think that's kind of also goes to show, you know, some of the players also may be hiding some of their potential strategies, not really showing their opponents everything that they've got just yet.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone held a little something back. Scarlett going for that cheeky proxy hatch against Huck.
Although I think that is just typical Scarlett these days.
Yeah, she's on a team with Bly. She's not afraid to bust that out. Bly being a very, very cheeky player himself.
But, you know, speaking of Scarlett, our first match for the day is going to be Scarlett versus Semper, I believe, which, you know, you mentioned earlier it's going to be our first match, but I want to note that actually Scarlett was the one who lost to Semper in the last time they played during the seeding.
Yeah, that's got to be something that is really... I don't know if it's affecting Scarlett as much, but I think it's going to be making Semper feel really, really good about his chances. Going into a match, taking down one of the favorites of the tournament, then you say, oh, well, you know what? We're coming back to it. It's this is kind of my moment to really make that first big splash. It looks like we are going to be taking a look at the maps for this matchup.
Yeah, going to see what the vetoes ended up being. And it seems like game number 1 going to be Dust Towers. Big surprise over there. We see Dust Towers as one of the first 3 maps.
Yeah.
The second map, though, Steadfast, I want you to talk about that.
Yes. Central Protocol. Very interesting map. Blizzard has made some adjustments recently. Removed those back rocks, removed close by vertical spawns, which is good. It is a very, very powerful map for 3-Rax Reaper. There's almost no reason to not go 3-Rax Reaper on that map as Terran. We saw Marine Lord doing that in every matchup. He got shut down actually a couple times. I think by Violet he got shut down in the previous IEM. But it's just such a good map for Reapers. And the actual removal of the rocks made it slightly stronger for Reapers because there's now just a little bit more ledge that you can jump up and down. So that's going to be something to watch out for there.
And it makes sense, right? Because we can see that, Scarlett was the one who did the first pick for Dust Towers, and Semper is the one that went for Central Protocol. So that could very well be a tool up his sleeve.
Oh, absolutely. And just another note, Laralac Crest, although usually a Zerg-favored map, especially if you can get those cross positions, Scarlett actually lost to Semper yesterday on Laralac Crest. So that if it goes to Game 3, which it very well could, we might find ourselves with an advantage for Semper going into the ace match.
That is pretty exciting, and I think that we're just waiting for the first game to get started. As soon as the players are all ready and giving the go-ahead, we're going to be jumping into our game number 1 for Dust Towers. First game of day number 2, the first game that's really going to matter. You can see both of these players fairly well rested. I think they got some good sleep, and we finished pretty late last night. Hopefully they are able to get all the sleep they needed.
Yeah, a little bit late. That's actually another thing, is how comfortable they are at this 3-day environment. How do you recover after maybe a long day? Yeah. Can you manage that? And that's something that Scarlett probably has a little bit more experience with than Semper.
Yeah.
We'll see if that does play a factor or not.
Mm-hmm. But with that being said, we're jumping into the game and getting ready to introduce the players, I believe. As, gonna wait and see what condition is Semper in, because spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the green Terran player from Team Gravity. Give it up for Semper.
And meanwhile, spawning in the left bottom position of Dusk Towers, the pink Zerg player from the clan on fire, it is Scarlett. Now, right off the bat, we do see a standard opening from both of them. We're seeing Semper going for that Rax. Just nice to note, he's putting it in a position that he can build that reactor very quickly. Doesn't need to lift off. Knows that Semper's not going to bust out any weird 12 pool, as she is going for a hatch first. Yeah. Probably going to follow that up with a gas before pool, but we'll see in just a moment.
And, speaking about just Terran builds on this map, Steadfast, how many Reaper... Or sorry, not a Reaper expanse, but I was going to say Hellion openings have you seen on this map? I feel like it is just the most common thing on this map. It is unbelievably common.
Yeah, it's good for stinting that creep spread, keeping your opponent kind of honest. A build that I actually see quite a bit is Hellion into the Liberator range build. You actually rush out that Tech Lab and Fusion Core, and you just go for ranged Liberators. And if they don't open with mutas, you can just lock down every mineral line and be untouchable with any ground units. It's
frustrating to deal with.
It's frustrating having dealt with it myself. I can say honestly, it's frustrating to deal with.
I can feel the Zerg tears right now.
Oh, they're flowing.
Oh. Well, we do have a quick Reaper opening coming out for Semper, and I love the fact that he knows who he's playing against. He's playing against Scarlett. Scarlett has actually, especially on this map, done a lot of proxy hatchers around that area, around the third.
Yes, that is exactly... I haven't seen Scarlett do it, but I've watched Bly play, and that's exactly where he builds those hatches.
Makes a lot of sense. Of course, Factory going to be going down behind this. Factory pretty far away from that barracks, actually. Normally, if you're going for those kind of Hellion openings, you do tend to plant that barracks right next to that factory. Yeah,
you're going to want to be able to switch that up as quickly as possible, so probably going for maybe a tank drop, could be even a Widow Mine drop. Something where you're not going to need necessarily that reactor.
But on the factory, at least, yeah.
Yes, yeah. But it looks like actually Scarlett did open gasless, which is really putting... Oh, yeah, nice snipe there on that drone from Semper. No! Snaps that Reaper's neck.
That is a bit painful. You do not want to lose that Reaper, I guess, this early on versus a Zerg that went gasless. Because that is supposed to be the big thing, is that once speed finishes up, that's what's supposed to be able to catch that Reaper. But if speed is not coming, that Reaper should be around, harassing, keeping an eye on his opponent, and just seeing, when the gas guys go down, when other things are going down.
Absolutely. Looks like Semper did actually go for the reactor on that factory, so it is going to be Hellions.
Nice float away.
Looks like it's going to be a Banshee as well, as that reactor barracks just finished up a Tech Lab. And Hellion Banshee against this late gases. Scarlett's going to have so many queens up. I don't know if this is the best build. Oh, looks like it's actually going to be that Liberator range.
Yeah. Got the Fusion Core coming on down. The Hellions are going to be pumping themselves out and heading across the map, trying to shut down some of that creep spread that you were talking about. Scarlett, of course, known for her creep spread, so it's going to be interesting to see how does she deal with this. She's already got a decent number of queens planting creep over here, and she's doing a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah, it looks like we see a pause coming out from Scarlett. I wonder if we're going to see a quick layer following this up, as you are going to want that layer to be able to deal with the Liberators,
yeah.
You're going to need mutas or corruptors, but they can't really run them down, so it's usually going to be mutas to deal with that.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult, though, just because she went for that gasless play. A lot of Zerg players, they'll go for, the gas opening, they get the speed, but then they leave 1, maybe 2 drones on gas or something and get that eventual layer tech. With this situation, Scarlett is definitely a little bit further behind on that, but here we go. Jumping back into it. Hellion's actually going to be going for the straight run by. Oh, no fear. Hellion's going to be taking out some of these Zergans on their way up the ramp.
Nice trap by that one Ling, though. Gets one of those Hellions, but still 3 Hellions running in. Are we having any Lings pop out?
Well, some of the drones are going to be going down over here as...
really nice splitting there from Scarlett. Hasn't taken big damage yet at all.
5 drones have gone down so far. 6 drones now falling as they are retreating on out. The Hellions are going to get cleaned up. Total 6 drones and 7 Zerglings. I would say it wasn't an absurd amount of damage for a Hellion run by, but for just 4 Hellions, that was some pretty cost-effective trading.
I actually think that was quite good for Scarlett. She can now spread creep like a mad woman.
That's true.
There's no map control. I think Semper was counting on a lot more damage right there. Just if we look at the units lost tab, yeah, we see that there is a pretty big advantage for Scarlett in terms of cost efficiency. Well, not not actually, but as far as unit efficiency.
Yeah, and it's about the idea that she gets that creep spread going. Everything you were saying is so important because, especially in this matchup, you want to get that creep spread going because then that just makes it so much easier for the Banelings as that Baneling nest comes down to get the big hits off that you need. The Zergans get the big wraparound.
Yeah, and there's nothing to stop her from just droning up like crazy, and she is doing that right now, taking a big worker lead. But with that Liberator range nearly about to finish, we are going to see Semper have pretty much uncontested control of these mineral lines.
Yeah, one Liberator has already managed to get 2 kills so far and is looking for potential to get another, but the other Liberator moving in on the left-hand side of the map, trying to find another opening, and there may be one. There are some Spore Callers going down in that natural expansion, but they are not just finished yet.
This is so frustrating to deal with for Scarlett, and she cannot mine from most of the mineral patches in that main. That
Liberator is having a hard time, man. He is not able to get most of these shots off on the drones.
Does actually manage to get the 1 drone, and just because that interrupts the attack, he's going to be able to get the rest, but... Oh, actually might be able to get a queen right here? No, he's going to unsiege.
In range of that natural expansion queen, and does find a nice little sweet spot over here. And with the Liberator range, you can actually take out that queen.
And we do see the Spire from Scarlett is about 3/4 of the way done. Once she gets that out, she's going to be able to push this back. But if we look at the upgrades, actually, for Scarlett, she has a pretty substantial lead. 2-2 is already on the way, I believe.
Yeah, and Semper's, he's going to be finishing up 1-1 in a bit, but not exactly in the immediate future.
Look at that worker count, 70. Wow, okay, it's going down a bit now, but it was at 79 workers. Liberators kill workers pretty quick.
It's pretty insane. Scarlett also going for the double expansion for her 4th and 5th right now, but you have to keep in mind the fact that she's not mining from her main base mostly. She's also barely mining from her 3rd, so while she does have a great worker count, most of those workers are not doing anything. Finally, they can start mining over here at this 4th, she thinks, but apparently there's actually another Liberator sitting there.
This is just so brutal, and she's actually going to lose quite a few workers, losing 3, 4, maybe 5. Yeah, 5 workers go down there. Wow. Liberator range is just such an obnoxious upgrade to deal with on this map. It's just really tough if you didn't open for either a 2-base Muta or just a much faster Muta than Scarlett opened. And looks like Semper kind of understood his opponent and took that nice advantage. But we do see Scarlett with some pretty fantastic creep spread coming across the map.
Yeah, but I like this. Semper also playing to his own strengths. While Scarlett might be going with that creep spread, Semper is saying, well, you know what? I'm all about the harassment. The Liberator's definitely showing a bit of that. But now he comes in with the double drop. The Mules are out. There is a single Liberator just to help out a little bit with the DPS, also making sure those Mules Can't just easily chase down those medevacs if the Marines are loaded up in there. But he's going to be going for the big push out with 4 siege tanks. Got these Marines already clearing out some of that creep.
Yeah, and if we look at the army supply, we actually see a big advantage for Semper. Even though Scarlett had that worker supply, she wasn't able to put it into an army because of those liberators. She just had mining denied for so long, and this is all of a sudden a very scary push from Semper. The only thing Scarlett has going, and it is a big deal, is how far out her creep spread is already.
Yeah, it buys her so much time, and that time is going to be very important because 2-2 is going to be finishing up very soon for her. She's going to have that nice little upgrade lead, even though Semper is moving it potentially to punish and push into this 4th expansion up here in this top left-hand corner. It's going to be pretty difficult for him to actually get into a good position if Scarlett is prepared. Scarlett has Zerglings and Banelings being made, but the Mutalisks are going to be very far out of position for this.
We actually see a big counterattack coming in from Scarlett. But the rally from Semper is just too big, and she's going to lose her 5th base and be forced back home.
Yeah, not a lot she can do about it. She just has to go home and accept the fact that she lost it for absolutely nothing. Semper also may continue to push in over here, depending on how much he wants to press his luck, but no, he is not going to be overcommitting. He's backing on out.
Yeah, we do see Semper making a really nice choice here. The only thing I think he needs to do is blunt that creep spread in the middle of the map, but Scarlett might not let him. Scarlett might actually be looking to engage this army. Definitely is going to do so. Big fight coming in.
Oh, well, I mean, most of the siege tanks get cleaned up very, very quickly. The Zerglings trying to soak up some of those hits, but those Mutalisks, I think, getting target fire down over there by Semper. Really great target fire.
Really nice target fire.
Taking out a lot of these Mutalisks are getting very, very close to it. The medevacs all go down as well as those Marines, though. And Scarlett, the reality is she was only fighting half of the army, so effectively that was the kind of trade she wanted to take.
Yeah, but the Mutalisk count almost just got cut big. I want to see how many Mutalisks were lost right there.
Only 4.
Looks like only 4. Wow. It looks like that Mutalisk count is a lot skinnier than it was a couple moments ago.
Yeah, it's sort of funny how that works out, especially when I think a lot of them taking a lot of damage, so it looks like they're going to be so low in health, but they are going to be regenerating that very, very quickly. Semper.
Wow, this creep spread is just immaculate.
Oh, Semper is going to be encountering that creep spread in a matter of moments as he tries to take that 4th expansion. He's going to walk out 10 feet out his front door, and suddenly there's going to be creep on his porch.
You know what? I think if Semper goes on to lose this game and watches this replay, he's going to be kicking himself because there was a period where he had that double drop and Scarlett was just starting to mine again.
Wow.
And I think he really had a big opportunity, but we do see Ultralisk Cavern 3-3 for Scarlett and Adrenal Glands on the way. Even getting that, I like that, even getting that Carapace for the Flyers in case Liberators start being produced, which they are.
Oh, Siege Tank's very vulnerable over here as they engage directly against the Mutalisks. Unfortunately, they do not do splash damage to those Mutalisks like they do to ground units, but Mutalisks still going to be looking for any kind of opportunities for picking off that they can, but the big thing that they're doing is they're just keeping Semper busy. Because once those Ultralisks are out, with the fact that she already has 2-2 finish up, she's getting 3-3 upgrades, she's going to have such a massive lead once she gets those Ultralisks out.
Yeah, Semper does not have an army out to deal with Ultras just yet. He is adding on 2 more starports and Liberators. That's going to help out, but he needed those a little bit earlier, I think, and no +3 armor is going to hurt him a little bit against those Adrenal Glandlings.
Yeah, those Liberators take quite a bit of time to actually be made, and they really need to make sure that they're sieged up in a nice position. I've seen so many times where a Terran player has a ton of Liberators, and the Ultras just walk past all of them. They just say, well, I don't actually need to engage a Liberator. It doesn't matter if I can't actually kill them. And they just go and ravage economies, kill off workers and everything. So Semper has really got to make this push and work, but it's going back to that creep spread you were talking about. It makes it so difficult for him to push in before chitinous plating finishes.
Yeah, and we do see that Greater Spire already about 2/3 of the way done for Scarlett, recognizing that on Dusk Towers, Liberators are quite good against Ultralisks. Even though you can kind of run by them on certain maps, it's a little bit harder to outmaneuver Liberation Zones against a 4-base Terran when they just set them up in those little choke points. So Scarlett, recognizing that, actually going to be going in for a big fight right here.
Yeah, chitinous plating is finished up. +3 armor is going to be finishing up pretty soon, but it looks like she feels like she doesn't actually need it right now. She charges on forward. These Marines retreating for their dear desperate lives right now, and they are going to get back to a bit of safety for a second as 3-3 going to be finishing up. Scarlett just making sure no additional bases going down because she is feeling comfortable about this. Marines, though, move into that 3rd expansion, or the 4th expansion, I should say.
Semper, so good.
Yeah, gonna actually pull his army back and buy himself a little bit of time to get up that Liberator count.
And he's even going to kill the 4th base. That is...
Wow.
Where did these Marines even come
There's
from?
not even a medevac. They just stabbing themselves to death. It was a suicide mission, but it was definitely worth it.
So you know what? I think that Semper might actually be a male witch. He conjured those Marines from nowhere, and they absolutely... I think they just saved him the game.
Man, he is playing Warcraft 3, and he is just summoning units, summoning elementals that are just coming in and killing off bases left and right.
Yeah, we do see even a couple more command centers coming down. Those are going to... Oh, wow, but the Mutalisks in the main doing quite a bit of damage there.
Got to be so careful about those Liberators, though. A couple of those Liberator shots will absolutely decimate that Mutalisk count. Ultralisk, though, I think that Semper has to be very careful about this 5th expansion. It's not a safe 5th expansion to take right now.
Not at all. We do see Scarlett even harassing the 4th base with those mutas. Going to buy her some time to go after that 5th. Because the mutas are over here, all it does is force a lift, but still, that is good when you're in Scarlett's shoes. She's reestablishing her 4th base, already has that 5th up.
But, look at this. We had an earlier situation where Scarlett had a nice little lead on those upgrades, but now we see +3 armor finishing up, +3 weapons is already finished up for Semper. And
big shots by those Liberators. Wow, look at how red those mutas got. But the fungal!
That's a good fungal, but there's not enough fungals to chain over here. She's gonna be able to soften up a lot of these Liberators and maybe get a bit of damage done with those Corruptors, but not quite the killing blows that she probably really wanted to get done there.
Oh, that could have been really bad for Semper. Semper not feeling confident, Scarlett not feeling confident right there with those mutas. Didn't want to come in. But I think if she'd split, she might have been able to pick off all those Liberators and then just run in with the Ultralisks. Yeah. As it is, Semper cannot be feeling comfortable right now. Scarlett is just breathing down his neck.
Yeah, and we're sort of at that point where, the Mutalisks are getting some good damage done, but I think that she may be okay with slowly, gradually trading out these Mutalisks for maybe some of the Corruptor supply to deal with the Liberators, as well as potentially transition the Broodlords. Oh, these Ultralisks are trying to find a position, but this Orbital Command just sitting over here, this previous 5th expansion.
Oh, and the Planetary at the 5th does go down.
Yeah. It's going to go down, but unfortunately Scarlett can't push in any further. Do you think she needs to?
Nope. I think the best decision is to just pull back. She has a big bank. Maybe she wants to trade out those mutas and go into Broodlords, but I think with how drop-centric Semper is, Scarlett has such good map vision, she can cut those drops off if she can see them, which she'll be able to see them. I think she's good to just slow siege with these Broodlords and doesn't want to overcommit. The last thing you want to do is overcommit, run your whole army into a bunch of liberation zones. The only thing from Semper is we don't see any ghosts, and you really need ghosts to deal with this army. Yeah,
he's trying to go for some of these drops. The Zerglings all end up dying very quickly, and Scarlett is trading out Mutalisk supply for Marines, which isn't the greatest trade, but she's okay with making this trade because, she cleans up the drop. Semper's aggression is shut down once again, and Scarlett refills some of that supply with some cracklings.
Oh, wow, look at that. She's getting 3-3 on her hair. That's so many Liberators.
That is a lot of Liberators. Now, some good fungal growths are going to be coming down, shutting down some of these Liberators, but this is a little bit actually maybe worrisome. The Ultralisk, though, going to say, we don't really care. We're not going to engage the Liberators.
That was really nice from Scarlett, recognizing that the Air Force couldn't quite take down those Liberators, so she just runs the Ultralisk forward, forces the
Fungals
siege.
On the Marines. A GG gets called. Scarlett taking the game, showing Semper who's boss. And yesterday didn't matter. Yesterday was for seeding Semper. Today is what matters, and today is where I'm going to beat you.
Yeah, that was a pretty nice bait and switch from Scarlett, deciding, you know what, I'll let you have day 1. When it matters, I'm going to take day 2, and she goes out to a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, 1-0 lead. Of course, this is a best of 3 this time, so it's definitely not over just yet, but that was a pretty strong game, and I've got to say, I really like, it's always fun when you get to see Scarlett doing the proxy hatchery or something versus Hug, doing the crazy shenanigans, but when you get to see that Scarlett of old, where she goes to the crazy macro game, that fantastic creep spread gets out there and, really shuts down her opponent, she has fantastic macro, just everything seems to be going her way. It is actually a delight to watch.
Yeah, and once again, I believe it was the creep spread that won her that game, because if Semper, when he has that double medevac drop, moving towards the fourth base. If there's not creep already out there, I think he just feels confident to push in. And Scarlett had nothing. She was down about 35 army supply, and that's against just a double medevac marine drop with, of course, 3 tanks coming in eventually behind it. You are not going to be able to hold that as a Zerg player with no units. You're never going to be able to get enough. They're going to put their Marines in a nice position behind a mineral line. But because of that creep spread, Semper did not feel confident to push in, and Scarlett was able to hold, continue to build an army, match the army, gets a nice trade.
Finish 2-2 upgrades, get out all the units and the banelings and everything that she needed to absolutely crush that army.
Yep, and once she got that hive tech, there was no looking back.
Yeah.
Semper really never quite scaled enough. He didn't get those ghosts he needed. Had some liberators. But
what was sort of an interesting thing is that we were talking about when Scarlett engaged that army, and she did end up cleaning it up. She engaged only half of the army of Semper. Do you feel like Semper, I mean, it's a very traditional thing. Terran player has half an army back at home after they lose their first army. You know, you want to rally things in groups because you don't want just your units to get picked up. But do you feel like that army, if it had been able to join up and Semper push with his full force? Because I really do feel like it wasn't one of those situations where Semper had, you know, a small little force that he was going to join in with his main force. It was 2 big armies of equal supply sitting on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, it actually might have been even a bigger army back at home. I think part of it is that counterattack that we saw from Scarlett at one point in the game. But looking at this big fight, we saw the Ultralisks move forward, forcing those sieges into liberation zones, which allows the air army from Scarlett to win the fight against the Liberators. Then we see that big fungal on that clump of Marines, and there just wasn't anything that Semper could do at that point. It was very much GG by that point.
At that point, I mean, it looked a little bit scary when we saw how large the Liberator count was. We were like, wait a second, this is actually a little bit scary. But, you know, just that smart thing of Scarlett is she has so many Ultralisks that she just forces all those Marines back. Of course, the fungal growths also make sure that those Marines, they either have to run away because they don't want to get fungaled.
Yeah.
Which means that they're no longer in the liberation zones. So it's kind of like this catch-22. Do I run away or do I stand my ground? Either way, I'm going to lose all my Marines.
Exactly. That's why you need those ghosts. You need to be able to either EMP or snipe the Infestors. You want to be able to snipe the Ultralisks, obviously. Basically, you just want to keep the fight in the liberation zone, which is what those ghosts are going to allow you to do. You're going to be able to, EMP, prevent the fungals, but no ghosts on the field. Scarlett just had the better, more cost-efficient army, and she ends up taking that fight absolutely one-sidedly.
And the thing that you have to remember now is, of course, that was game number 1. That was Scarlett's map choice to go to Dust Tower, so she played a fantastic... We're not moving on to a macro map now. We're moving on to Central Protocol, a map that you were saying we might be seeing some shenanigans, but let's go ahead and find out if we are going to be seeing that as we go ahead and jump and introduce the players spawning up here.